reading it, and that says a lot. Anytime when I get gripped like that, anytime I care for a character, you pretty much hook me in. I don't want to read nothing else until I finish that book. And that goes for any book that is. This book was pretty much my primary of gold at that point, and I was supposed to be working on a review of Outlaw, which is a Robin Hood book, a new one that recently came out, but I put that on hold just so I can read this book here. And I don't regret it because this is a very, very good book. Not to say that the book I was working on is bad. I actually can't say it's bad because I only did one chapter, and it sounds good. But once I saw this, and once I started, peeling by and see what I was going to do, I started to read this more. I said, I got to read this. It's actually very, very good. Let me break this out to you guys right now in terms of this book's style. Ronald Dahl, which I recently found out he was the man responsible for Charles and the Chocolate Factory, which most people would know as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. There's actually a sequel to that book, which I didn't even know about. He did that. He was the same person who did that. So I pretty much knew. From knowing that research, I pretty much knew that this was going to be pretty dark. I didn't expect it to be that dark. I can tell you right now, if anything bad I can say about this book, which is very small in between, is that this book is not meant for young children. This book is pretty much meant for an older class. I say pretty much within an 11 or 12-year-old. I can't see this book being read by a 5, 6, 7-year-old. I just don't. This book is dark. It's very, very dark, and also to the point where it's very, very disturbing. And I'm going to get to that as well. But that's the major beef. And I'm going to be honest with you, that was one of the main reasons why I didn't like this movie. It was way, way over the top. But now I can see that Danny DeVito was trying his best to stay truthful to the source material that he had, even though he still changed a lot from the movie. I'm guaranteed that if I go back to that movie now, the stuff that was mentioned here either going to be shrunk down to a bare minimum in some areas, or just added stuff that was not even mentioned in the book. Either way you see it, there was some changes there, but in all, the whole concept of this book, which was translated to the big screen, still remain intact, and it is a very, very deeper than Matilda, special powers or her being a genius can ever be induced. There's a hidden theme in there that if you're not careful, pretty much the adults can get it, but the kids probably won't. But this has a lot of theme to it, and I think that's what Ronald Dahl was trying to get at. Because this definitely has an adult theme in this book that really shakes my head, and why he would have put it in a children's book and not in a more older adult book. But that's what's the author of the book. The other thing I don't like about this book, it is also very mild. The ending didn't feel like it ended. It really just felt like, okay, this is an end of another chapter, and it just stops there. Probably one of the things is when Matilda's given up by her family, just basically that's it. We don't want her. It's less mouths to feed. Which, by the way, the Wormwoods, the parents, the mother and father are absolute jackasses. Oh, I hate this family. I really, really hate this family. I hate this family in this book more than I did in the movies. At least in the movie, in the ending, the mother felt it was better for her to live with the teacher. In this one, she didn't even show that. She had no problem getting rid of her, and that was pretty much explained in the book, that they didn't consider their daughter as a daughter. They considered her something of a nuisance, that if they had given an opportunity, they will toss her aside just like a fly, which they definitely did in this book, and it really pisses me off. These families are very, very arrogant, stupid. The father, who I hate more than the mother, is a sexist, arrogant, deviant person. He's a thief who cares nothing but money and his own pride and thirst for power. He is very, very arrogant. He hates women and hates women who are smarter than him because he's just a dumb prick. And I really was hoping that at least in this book version, um, he was given his comeuppance, but obviously that did not happen. I really did hope it was, though, because this guy deserves as much jail time as he possibly can. He abused Matilda mentally, not physically, but mentally, and it was uncalled for. The stuff she was going to, ripping her books, basically telling she was a dumb liar when the fact is she's a genius, and boy what a genius she was. She learned how to read at the age of 3. From the moment I read that, I wanted to know more about this character. She was very, very smart, very, very intelligent, but also had a Lex Luthor mind herself. When she started doing those tricks, those three tricks she did with her father, it was pretty much creative yet very dangerous. She had a very dangerous demeanor to her, which excuse me, which really echoes throughout that whole book. You was kind of curious what she's going to get away with next, and that was the one thing I actually think that was very cool. And I think that Ronald Dahl did. He actually, in many ways, this is 2 stories in one. You have the first story where she's dealing with her parents, and then you have the other story that's dealing with this other disgusting character, which is, I think they call her Tor, which I always had a problem with her name, Torchbull. Weird name, by the way, but very creative. Torchbull, which, oh my God, I'll get to her in a minute. But yeah, the ending of this book, I'm getting back to the ending, was pretty much had a problem with because it didn't feel like it was an ending. It felt like a cliffhanger. In fact, I'm pretty sure if Ronald Dahl was still alive, I think he would have made another book. I really do, because it definitely had a sense of a sequel. Unfortunately, this book was made in 1988, and he died in 1990. So if there was a book, it was not gonna happen because he passed away, and I don't think he had any manuscripts anyway. But this book definitely screamed for a sequel, and I was like wondering, I was just doing a lot of research, did he ever make another book, another Matilda book? And apparently he did not. So that's unfortunate, but I actually, if he did make another Matilda book, I would have bought it. I would have bought it. I would have definitely bought it because I wanted to know more about this character. But that's it. I mean, that, and the fact is that it has some very scary moments with this book, but that's not the bad part about it. That actually helped the book along. Let me get to the strength about this. Like I said earlier, that when Matilda came to the scene, she was well developed in the books, partially because of the way the writer had presented her. You learn a little bit more about her with each passing chapter. Each chapter represented her quite well. You learn a little bit about her in one chapter, then you learn a little bit more about her in this chapter. It was nicely spread out from beginning to end. He didn't throw a lot out there. He allowed the reader to digest a little at a time, to the point where we really want to get more invested. And that's the work of a great writer. The one thing I can't stand when writers do, they throw a lot out there in one shot, and then there's really nothing else after that. And it makes the book almost highly useless sometimes when an author throws so much into one chapter, and instead of just lightly spreading it out. Eleanor H. Porter did it well in the books, and he have done it well as well, not giving too much information, but just enough to keep us, gasping for more, and let us go through. And that's what kept this book really going, because the character development was well done. Like I said earlier, the parents are just basically douchebags. I just can't stand them. The first half was her dealing with the parents, dealing with their arrogance, doing a lot of stunts, a lot of foolish stuff, and that's how you got that done. The second half, deals with her and her schooling. She almost came in late to the schooling thanks to her stupidity of the parents, but when she got there, she was immediately introduced by her teacher, Miss Honey, which in the book describes her as this frail person. I mean, this frail but very sweet person. And her character was well developed. Our character was developed in 3 chapters, pretty much. We learn a little bit more and more of each chapter. She immediately knows that Matilda is not an average kid. She knows mathematics like this. She can read books that is beyond advanced level, and she tried her best to try and get her to get another class advance. She went to Miss Torchbull, which automatically rejected her, and that's basically because of her own prejudice towards kids right off the bat. It was just when she came onto the scene in this book. Oh my God! The more she talked, the more angry I got with this person. The more I wanted to basically say, "You're an idiot. You're not even listening to the teacher." And to the point where she immediately considered Matilda as nothing more than a troublemaker. That's what she was. That's what she is. She didn't know who she was. She didn't even met the person, but automatically she's a troublemaker, and automatically she's gonna keep her eye on her. So she had her own personal vendetta, for reasons only she knows. The teacher didn't give up. She went to the teacher. She went to the house of the parents, and right there, she automatically knew that these parents could not possibly be the ones to have taught Matilda how to read and how to do math, because their stupidity just shows out there how they felt that a woman is wasting their time using this kind of stuff, that all they need is a look and they'll get a good